going over the book Winning with People by John Maxwell, and we are on the friendship principle today. But before we jump into that principle, let me go ahead and invite some people who asked to be invited on. There we go. All right. So, like I said, we are on the friendship principle today. Let me open up my notes here. So, all things being equal, people will work with people they like. All things not being equal, they still will. So, the most I can do for my friend is simply be his friend. And that was by Henry David Thoreau. And a question you want to ask yourself is, am I a friend to the people I work with? So there's really about four levels of business relationships. And actually, Jeff is going to be the one who's going to take us through that today. So here you go.
As I'm getting through all my stuff. So the 4 business levels. Number 1 is people knowledge. Understanding people helps build your business. So understanding people is understanding their personalities. There's 4 different personalities that you have to break down and understand to be able to actually connect with people. If you don't understand these personalities, what ends up happening is you teach from the perspective of you. The unfortunate part is if you're an idiot or a jerk, or maybe you have a D-type personality like me, you don't relate to about 97% of the people. It's just not the same. So what ends up happening is as you go out into the world and try to build friendships and talk about things, you don't relate to people, and people don't necessarily connect with you or like what you say. In some cases, they don't like how you say what you say. So just understanding people in general makes things very different. You know, understanding the I types like to talk about things they're doing and ask questions. Understanding the S types like to connect at a deeper level. They're going to have a slower conversation. They're going to use more words to explain the exact same thing that you might use 2 words to do. The C-type personality usually is only going to talk to you when it's something of value to them. You know, how was your weekend? They're going to be really short. Okay. All right, well, I guess that's a good talk, you know. And sometimes it's just knowing that you're stopping by and asking the question, how was the weekend? How are things? What's going on? Sometimes it's just asking the question that is the connection for some people. Sometimes it's talking about what's going on. So just understanding people in general. 2, service skills. Your treatment of people helps you build your business. So there's a bunch of things that I know about service skills, you know, eye contact, being able to pay attention. Most of these you can learn from a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably the industry standard to learn some of this. Knowing people's name, being able to show up on time, just like certain courteous things. Basically all those things say, I respect you. Now, if you have maybe the wrong personality here, if you're a D-type or an I-type and you're trying to, you know, win friends and influence people, and you're showing up late, canceling on people, not doing what you say you're going to do, you're not going to connect with people, and basically they're going to see your service skills as poor and or disrespectful. Therefore, you're not going to connect with people, you're not going to be able to build friendships, and it's going to make it a lot harder. The third is your business reputation. Your reputation for relationships helps build your business. So the relationships you built with other people, some people could come in and say, well, who are your friends? Well, I know a couple people. Other people come in and say, well, I know this person who runs the city, and I know, the mayor, and I know the police chief, and I know this. So certain relationships that you already have break through, but you have to know the person that you're talking to see if that, is of not only interest, but do they like and respect these other people you're talking about? Sometimes people come in and say, oh, I know this person, this person, this person, this person. And you're like, great, I hate all those people. Like, I've known them for years and I know they're not good people. So the fact that you like them and you hang out with them, unfortunately, your reputation sometimes precedes you. So based on who you're around, based on your service skills, based on knowing people, certain people have told me, hey, I'm really good friends with X, Y, Z. They give me this list, and I'm like, I know all those people for doing bad deals. I know all those people for not following through. I know those people for not telling the truth. And you telling me you're great friends with all of them tells me one thing. People usually surround themselves with people like themselves. People usually surround themselves with people like themselves. So therefore, you have to understand when talking to people, who you're friends with and how you're friends with them. You want to make sure that the people you're around are good people, are good business people, and those relationships are the right ones. Or it can actually backfire on you and mess up your business rather than moving you forward. The fourth is personal friendships. Your friendship with others builds your business. So the personal friendship is just getting to know somebody over time. Getting to know somebody over time. I remember a seminar that I was at 25 years ago. And they talked about friendships. And when you really break through, you're able to say, remember when. Remember when we went to Arizona. Remember when we drove back through the Grand Canyon. Remember when we flew to Denver. Remember when, there's these different instances that you're able to bring up that maybe only that person can relate to, because that's friendship. It's spending time with others. So those are kind of the four that he talks about. He says, even when the odds are stacked against you, friendship many times still gives you an edge with a customer or a client or somebody else. So here's how I use this in direct sales and network marketing. If I know somebody knows somebody else, or I know somebody knows a group of people that I'm going to talk to, I said, look, I'm going after and I'm going to work with the people around this industry. So being that you know more people than I do, it would only make sense to actually get connected with me now, because if I go out and do all this work and I bring all these people in and they're all connected to us and you could have profited from it and you don't, then you're going to be on their team rather than them being on your team. Which way would you rather have it? That doesn't always work, but in some cases it works big. So the value of friendship, real friends are scarce. Real friends are scarce. The people who would get up in the middle of the night and drive to the other side of town without questioning because your car broke down, or because you had an incident or a problem or somebody heard about something. There's very few people that will go out of their way to help you, and if you don't understand that, just have some problems, and you can see who comes out of the woodwork to help and who doesn't. Real friends are refreshing. They basically give you new perspective. They can give you energy. If the people you're around are always, and I'm going to rewrite this book so that way I can talk about it from my perspective, but you kind of have people who are, the givers. You also have people who are the vampires, where every time you're around them, you feel like you're down a couple pints of blood because they just suck the life out of you as they talk to you about their problems, as they talk to you about everything they've gone through, as they talk to you about their medical experiences. Like, you really know when somebody doesn't understand people relationships and they start talking to you about their medical procedures and the doctor's visits and the different things they do. Like, typically that's the death of, and the people who do it don't even know they're doing it. Why? Because that's interesting to them. Because it revolves around them. What they're doing, what they're experiencing. A lot of times you'll have people who do this who are very unfortunately, their self-esteem really isn't there. And they just go on and on and on and on and on about, their health issues. Health issues is not a good subject to talk, especially in a group of people. Real friends make us better. It says friendship is born at the moment one person says to another, "What, you too?" So you're looking for bridges. You're not looking for walls. You're looking for bridges. What do you guys connect on? Now, there's a really simple way to build friendships and understand people using something called FORM, family, occupation, recreation, and the message. Family. So when I actually sit down with somebody and I want to build this relationship or build a friendship and I want to do it, it's kind of like if you were to do it in chronological order of what people are used to and easy to talk about. You can actually ask questions in a certain order and you can build friendships very, 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 very quickly. Asking people, who are they, where they grew up, how many people were in their family. I just did this the other day. How many people are in your family? Do you have brothers? Do you have sisters? Who are you closest to growing up? What's your favorite memory growing up? So you can actually direct a conversation in a way to basically bring out the best in somebody. If you're really good, you can also direct a conversation to bring out the worst in somebody. And there are certain outlets that do this. So if you keep it on a positive note, you can build a friendship much, much faster. Compliments build friendships much, much faster. So when people are like, oh, I was born over here, I was born in a small town. Oh, that's cool. We were born, we come from a small town too. That's a bridge, that's a connection. But if somebody grows up and says, I went to some elite blah, 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 and it was private, and that might be a wall, that might not be something that a lot of people have experienced. Therefore, it's more of a wall. People are like, yeah, I don't get that or understand that. But if you stick to the family, so I go from family and school and how they grew up and where they grew up and what activities they were into. So that's under, I call it friendly more than anything, but it's family friendly. The next one is occupation. I don't want to know what they do now as much as I want to know the history of what they've done. Because so many people, especially with what just happened, so many people have switched jobs, switched careers, or looking to switch, are in school, studying, trying to get into something else that, maybe will make better money, maybe we'll have better time, maybe we'll have more. Everybody's talking about security now, which is funny to me. But it's not funny. What I mean by funny is everybody's looking for security now, realizing that most things aren't secure that they're looking at. That's what's funny to me. Not that they're looking for security is funny. Looking for security is not funny. But looking where they're looking is funny to me because I realize that it's not really secure to begin with. But to them, it is because that's all they've been taught. So I just wanted to clarify that I'm not making fun of security. So, I thought I was the only one, was the end of that quote that I said a couple minutes ago. It says, friendship is born the moment somebody says to another, what, you too? I thought I was the only one. That was C.S. Lewis. So, connecting with people, occupation. What did you do? What was your first job? I asked that question. What was your first job? What are the jobs you've had between now and then? What else have you done? Most people, especially if you have a 10, 20 year, normally, you don't work for the same place. And you've had all these different experiences. The problem is most people don't ask enough questions. Most people, again, are completely selfish. They're completely self-centered. They only want to know about them, so they would rather be doing the talking than the listening. And when you get around these people, it's very easy to figure out. Also, there's certain people who are really good at basically bringing out these questions in others. They're the ones asking the questions. And this is kind of a leadership principle. Whoever is asking the questions is leading the conversation. That's the leader, the one asking the questions, not the one talking. And you'll see some of the best speakers, while they're speaking, even though they're the ones talking while they're speaking, they're asking questions and getting the people drawing out all this information out of their head that sometimes is persuasive, but also basically connects with people on a very different level than somebody who just speaks at people in statements and, general conversation. When you start asking questions, even as a speaker, you'll draw out different things. And you're leading rather than anything. So occupation, what do you do now? What did you like best? What was the job you liked least? That gives you a real interesting perspective. Then you go for the R, recreation. What do you do when you're not at work? What do you do when you're not having to take care of your family? What do you like doing? People sometimes have a hard time even coming up with this. They're like, I don't know, I work all the time. Well, what do you like doing? Do you have any hobbies? Do you have anything? Do you like cars? Do you like, Target? Skeet shooting? I mean, what do you like? Some people like bird watching. I found all kinds of interesting things that people like doing that I would have never even thought of. We recruited a guy yesterday that does woodworking. And I'm like, what have you, he was building Adirondack chairs, and he's been building tables and just all this different stuff. And I mean, he's just turning out, a lot of product just because, it's what he likes doing. He's bored. So he's also a musician. He plays 5 different instruments, drums, guitar, bass, violin, and piano. I mean, the average person can't play one of those. Interesting. He plays 5. So, I mean, somebody who's super, super talented. People do different things. Some people love to travel. What would you do if you had more time and money? Well, I'd love to travel. Where would you go? It's not enough to ask that you're going. What's an ideal trip? What's the best trip you've ever had? Those are kind of questions. If you want to build a friendship, those are the kinds of questions. The more you draw out, and the more feeling that's behind it, and the more vivid the picture, the better the connection.
This is also how he got me to marry him, by the way. Like, when I first met him, when he was asking me all these questions, I'm like, wow, he is so interested in, like, who I was. And we became really good friends first before we started dating. But, like, this was one of the things where I was like, this person actually cares about where I'm going and what I'm doing. And in some cases, I've heard people say this when you've been talking to them. They're like, most of my friends don't even know that question. And it's true. People who don't ask questions, you'll end up finding out a lot of things about people that most people don't know. And that's what establishes that connection. But anywho.
So recreation, just asking all those questions, that's kind of a lot of people's passion, a lot of people's fun, what they like doing. If you can get through the first part and you can get to that part, that sometimes is where to spend a lot of time if you want to really connect at a much, 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 much deeper level. Because of the way that I ask questions, I learn, and Brandy makes this point, I learn more about people in 30 to 45 minutes than sometimes their best friends know about them. And how does that take an advantage? Well, it takes an advantage that when I go to ask, hey, can we go do, or hey, can we go whatever, or hey, can we get started, people will react differently to me than, let's say, anybody else they've ever been working with. Because, hey, this person actually knows about me, asks questions, cares about where I'm going. I will be willing to give a little bit more. I'll be willing to go a little bit more. I'll be willing to work a little bit more just to keep this connection. The R, the recreation part, is really important to get and understand. And then finally, the message. The message could be a couple different things. It could be the money. It could be the mission. It could be their motivation. So, the couple questions that you can ask that revolve around this is, if in 2 to 5 years, where do you want to end up? That's kind of like a mission money question. In 2 to 5 years, where do you want to end up? I mean, if this business works out for you, if we're working together, because that's what we're talking about here on the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, is if you're recruiting, if you're building a team, if you're in MLM, if you're in direct sales, if you're in network marketing, if you're doing this, and you're asking these questions, where do you want to end up in 2 to 5 years? What would you like life to look like? If you don't do this, where are you going to end up? A couple belt notches higher, a couple pills more, a couple pounds more. That's where most people end up. More money in insurance, medication, more doctor's appointments, that's where a lot of people end up because they don't know. They're just like, well, I just know I'm getting older in 5 years. Hopefully I make it 5 years. You can always tell people's self-esteem by how they answer that question, and what their motivation level is. So the first one is, where do you want to be in 2 to 5 years? The next one is, what motivates you? So there's 5 questions I ask at the end that kind of drive this home. One of the 5 questions is, where do you want to be in 2 to 5 years? Another question is, motivation-wise, what motivates you? What motivates you? What gets you, moving when you need to do something? What makes you do something when otherwise you wouldn't? Some people are like a fire. They don't move until it's absolutely positively, the end of the world. That's how some people are motivated. Most people honestly are motivated by stuff like that. They're not motivated to go out after their goals and dreams. They're motivated to maintain a status quo. Why? Because your basic human instincts goal is to find a place, a comfort zone, and stick in that comfort zone and not go out of that comfort zone. That's why people are like, well, I keep setting goals and I'm not getting there. Well, of course not. Your basic human instinct is built to keep you exactly where you're at. If you don't have a system, if you're not following something, all you're going to do is spin in circles. That's why you can get into company after company. That's why you can do project after project, and you're exactly where you started. It's your comfort zone. You don't have a system to move outside. Now, anybody who's been in the military, I like to work with people in the military because they understand a system that moves you out of your comfort zone all the time. That's how they start out. They're like, okay, basically you have no rights and you have no choices. You're going to do exactly what we say because you signed this piece of paper, and the government now has ownership of you, and we're going to make you into exactly what we need. If you question it, the discipline is ugly. And all you have to see is discipline at that level once, and you're like, okay, I'm going to follow directions. I'm going to follow close directions. I'm going to pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm going to be aware of my surroundings. Like, it wouldn't be bad if everybody had to go through some training like that coming out of school. And in some countries, you have to. Some countries, you have to go through that training. And those countries typically have built really strong, really strong people. I don't know if they always have a strong economy, but they built really strong people that are kind of all together. Not always good, not always bad, but in a lot of cases. In fact, kind of looking at it, some of them are some of the best countries and some of them are some of the worst countries. So just kind of depends on the people who are leading. So, message, motivation. The last one we're going to talk about is what's the most important. So there's 5 questions actually, but I'm only giving you 3 of them. The rest of them is stuff that we discuss inside the MLM Millionaire Academy. If you want to know more about that, we're going to put a link to MLMMillionaireAcademy.com/basics, I think is the page. I could be wrong on that. I don't remember exactly, but we'll put the link at the bottom. It's a school we run on Sunday from 9 to about 10:30 to understand the 10 basic things you need to know to be able to build a business. They're the 10 core things you need to know to build a business, outside of your town, outside of your city, outside of your state, and if, it pertains to your company, outside of the country, actually. Some companies aren't outside of the country yet, but probably will be. So there's some questions here at the end. Once you get through form, real friends remain faithful throughout time. So you follow up with people. You can always see people who do not value relationships because they do not stay connected. And I have a list of them if you'd like. No, I'm kidding. I don't give out that list. But I do have a list of them. The list of, I can see, okay, these people reach out once a month. These people reach out once a year. These people don't reach out. And you're looking to evaluate things like that where these people don't reach out. Why do people not reach out? Because they're so self-centered and selfish. They're only into themselves. If everybody on your list that you're talking to, you have to reach out to, and they're not reaching out to you, you need a new list. And that was really hard to figure out when I, was first in business, because I was like, well, these are the people I know. These are the people I want to talk to. Yeah, but they weren't the right people. They weren't the right people. If they don't reach out, if you don't hear from somebody in a certain amount of time, and that's different for everybody, I removed them from the list of people that I talk to on a regular basis because I realize they're probably part of the vampire club that are looking to suck the life out of you rather than give anything back, which is unfortunate. So, friendship principle, discussion questions. How can I tell when people place business ahead of friendship? It's really simple. They don't ask about you. They don't care about what's going on with you. They care about what your goals, what's your mission this month? How much volume are you going to do this month? How many people did you recruit this month? I know certain people are completely full of it because when they call, the only thing they want to know is what the numbers are. If you're calling your team and all you want to know is what their numbers are, what do you plan on doing this month? What are you doing? Like, there is no connection. And you're only calling at the end of the month during production. I know you're full of it. Hey, are you going to do something this month? Because we're really trying to get to where we're going. Which basically is a call, me. And now that I'm done talking about me, what do you think about me and how can you help me? Is kind of their motto. So you want to look for that. Do you agree that if you look at people in terms of friendship first and business second, then you have a chance of making a friendship and then succeeding? Usually that's true, not always. Usually that's true. Because most people don't know who to build friendships with. And people say, well, friendships equal long-term business. That sometimes is true. Sometimes it's not always true. Unfortunately. Dakota, what's happening? Congratulations. We saw the pictures online. Little one looks great. Hopefully all is well. 3, consider the 4 levels of business relationships: people knowledge, service skills, business relationship, personal relationship. On what level are most people you do business with? Where are you at in that cycle with people? Some people never get past the first one. They don't understand people, so therefore they don't connect with anybody and they don't feel that they have the friendships. It's because you're not actually learning. You want people in your life for selfish reasons. You're not there to give back or help or contribute. 4, have you ever worked in a company or industry or with people with a bad business reputation? I have. In fact, there was a company I worked with, for a short time. It took me 6 weeks to figure out, this isn't the right place. Later, I was called by the Criminal Investigation Division of the IRS and had to go meet with them, and the FBI wanted to talk to me about the business relationship I had had with certain people here in Indianapolis. When you get called by the Criminal Investigation Division of the IRS, and my first question was, do I need an attorney? And they said, well, we can't tell you not to bring one by law. I was like, that means yes. So I had to call an attorney to go have a quick conversation with these people. And, they're like, okay, we wanted to talk about this person, this person, this person, this person. This person, not only do we want to talk to you about, but the FBI wants to talk to you about that. I was 26, 27 when I got that phone call. My dad's on a Sunday night, my dad's yeah, somebody from the FBI or the IRS just called and they wanted to talk to you. I was like, well, that's not good if they're calling on a Sunday. He's like, did you apply? I'm like, no, I did not apply for a job at the IRS or the FBI. But I sat down with them. Very, very interesting conversation. This was a long time ago during the real estate mortgage fraud stuff. I had been around a company that was not doing the right things. They had a bad reputation. Now, interestingly enough, they were making money. They just weren't making it the right way. So, you got to be careful when you're out there. 5, do you agree that true friends are people who bring the best out of you? That, in most cases, yes. True friends are the ones that push you. True friends are the ones that tell you what you need to hear, not what you like to hear. Typically, the people who just tell you what you like to hear, who are butting you up, are always wanting something. People who tell you what you actually should know are the ones you want to be around. So, that is what we have for today. Brandy, do you want to tell them what we're doing tomorrow?
Yep, so tomorrow we're going to be going over the partnership principle, which actually Bess is going to be the one to be going over that because it is Wednesday. So if you guys would like to plug into the show tomorrow, you're going to want to go to Bess McCarty's page. And thank you, Bess, by the way, for posting the link for the Academy. So if you guys want more information about that, you could go to that link or message Bess directly, and we could answer any questions that you may have. Also, go follow us on YouTube for the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So that way, if you guys would like to go back and rewatch a few of these episodes, you can. So with that, that is what we have for you today. And we will see you, well, you'll see Bess tomorrow, but we'll see you on Thursday.